Woof.
Okay, so here is the new devblog I was talking about, where it was released today on November 30th regarding new ships for closed test 13.0. So this will be coming, early in the year in January. And it looks like, well, I'll just read it. Here's what they're talking about. Greetings, Captains. Update 13.0 brings with it new ships for testing, such as Spanish battleship Victoria. Interesting. The Spaniards are getting a battleship. That's cool. German cruiser Wiesbaden, and a long-awaited tech tree branch, Commonwealth Cruisers. So the Commonwealth tech tree is going to get a full ship line. And most of the time, not necessarily all the time, but a lot of the times, cruisers is where they always start. And then later on, they'll release destroyers and or battleships. So, let's see what they have to say. The new Commonwealth Cruiser branch features ships from Australia, India, New Zealand, and Canada. At low and mid tiers, these ships will be light cruisers armed with 152mm guns. And beginning at Tier 8, they will receive a heavier armament of 203mm guns. Main battery will be capable of dishing out a good amount of damage per minute, but in return they will have somewhat poor shell ballistics and slow turret traverse. Starting from Tier 3, they will additionally be armed with torpedoes. At Tier 7, these torpedoes will become long-ranged and may even be launched from stealth, due to the excellent concealment of these ships. For captains interested in hunting submarines, from Tier 5 onwards, the ASW airstrikes of these ships will have improved features. Longer range, additional charges, and an increased splash radius for incapacitating modules. However, they will deal somewhat less damage in return. The improved feature of this line will be balanced out by generally weak armor, low hit point pools, and weak AA defense. So, interesting. They're basically going to... I don't know. We'll have to see. There comes a point where there's just not that many new whistles and bells and features to add to the ships, if that makes sense. You can just maybe take stuff that's already in the game and say, well, we haven't combined this with this before, or we haven't combined, 12-kilometer cruiser torps with a really good concealment before, or whatever the case might be. You may be able to do that. But, it's tough to keep coming up with new gimmicks. And you don't always need them. There's nothing wrong with having two of the same ships in the game, especially if they're historic, that have different names or are with different nations. Because if it's a historic ship, people will buy it. Look how many Fletchers we have in the game, and there's still some historic Fletchers that are not in the game. And I guarantee you, if you put one of those in the game and it had basically the same stats as a regular Fletcher, people would buy it just to own that piece of history. But anyway, I'm digressing there. Let's see what else they say about the Commonwealth Cruisers. As it is standard for most cruisers, the line will feature hydro available in its own slot at Tier 4 and sharing a defensive AA, sharing a slot with defensive AA fire at later tiers. That makes sense. Starting at Tier 5, the signature Commonwealth crawling smoke generator. Now that makes sense too. That's something we've already got. Will be available in its own slot. Now that's going to be interesting. Crawling smoke on cruisers with its long action time, allowing slow movement while remaining concealed. Starting at Tier 8, the ships will be equipped with a repair party of standard characteristics. So you'll get a heal starting at Tier 8. In battle, these characteristics will come together in a mid to close range play style. The crawling smoke generator, coupled with excellent concealment, will allow these ships to take aggressive positions and make best use of their good damage per minute while also being able to conduct successful retreats when in danger. Captains will want to avoid exchanging fire in open waters due to overall low survivability in these cases. The long-range torpedoes may be employed while repositioning. Okay, so we've got Tier 1 cruiser. It's one of the Black Swan classes built in Great Britain, and we're not too worried about Tier 1, but that's it. Here's ship parameters. Not really much to look at. Tier 2, you have Port Jackson. Holy crap, have some stacks. One of the Town class cruisers built in the 1910s. Several different series in Great Britain and Australia conceived to aid in trade protection. She was named after the place of the city where the city of Sydney was founded. And there's some stats. If you're interested, you can come look. This is, if you look up the dev blogs, it's in it's blog number 499. Tier 3, Commonwealth Cruiser Caradoc. Looked like cardiac to me, but Caradoc is a Caledon class cruiser that took part in First World War, several other conflicts. In the late 20s, she serves at the North American and West Indian stations. So during the early stages of World War II, Caradoc was based in Canada, or Canada, and participated in Allied operations in the North Atlantic. Even though the cruiser actually served under the British flag, Caradoc will represent the Royal Canadian Navy due to her service record. And again, more stats, but we're not into those yet. Commonwealth Cruiser Dunedin, or Dunedin. I'm not sure the correct way to pronounce that. The Dunedin is a Danae class cruiser that served from 24 to 37 in New Zealand division of the Royal Navy, which was the predecessor of the Royal New Zealand Navy. During World War II, the cruiser took an active part in operations in Atlantic, capturing several enemy transports, and in 1941 was sunk by a German submarine. I'm curious to see main battery. So these do get AP and HE. Even though it's a Danae class, it's not limited to AP only like the British are. So that's good to know. Okay. And it does not have a heel yet. Like, I think the Danae might at that point for Britain, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. Commonwealth Cruiser Delhi, Tier 5. Achilles, one of the Leander-class cruisers, was commissioned to the Royal Navy in 1933. 1936, she attached to the New Zealand Division of the Royal Navy, joined the Royal Zealand Navy. In 1941, during World War II, she played a crucial role in the Battle of the River Plate and took part in the Pacific Campaign. In 1948, Achilles transferred to the Indian Navy and was renamed Delhi. As INS Delhi, the cruiser served for an additional 30 years. Okay, so that means she was mothballed in the late 70s. That's right, yeah, in the late 70s. No pictures, no stats for that one. All right, Tier 6 Commonwealth Cruiser Hobart. What do I see? Double guns. Looks like she might only have 6 barrels unless there's something in the middle here. HMAS Hobart was commissioned to the Royal Australian Navy in 1939 as one of the improved Leander-class cruisers. During World War II, she took part in the Mediterranean campaign and operations in the Indian Pacific Oceans. Hobart was also present at the signing ceremony of Japan's surrender in Tokyo Bay. How about that? Ship's parameters. Well, let's look at this one and see a little more. 24,000 health. Yeah, that's not a ton. 16 millimeter plating, 4x2. So she does have 4 guns. You just can't see them at the back. So she does have 8 guns with HE. This is 841 millimeters a second shell velocity. AP is not overly great. HE looks okay. 8% fire chance is not the best I've ever seen, but Reload time 6.5 seconds. That's pretty good. So she does have some good, definitely does have some good DPM potential there. What else do we have? An 8 kilometer, where is it? 8 kilometer airstrike range, which, yeah, that's a little bit better than what you'd normally see at the tier. Damage party hydro, defensive AA, and crawling smoke generator. Okay. Tier 7 is Commonwealth Cruiser Uganda. Yeah, I don't know what happened with the Tier 5 there, White Coat there. Maybe it's a surprise. But Tier 7 Uganda entered Royal Navy at the height of World War II. Belonged to a second group of Fiji class. Ooh, are we going to get a Fiji with HE? The ship took an active part in the landings in Sicily and Italy. In the fall, transferred to Royal Canadian Navy and subsequently operated in the Pacific Ocean. All right, let's look at the parameters. HE and AP. So this ship will be a tiny bit more like the premium British ship that doesn't have it, like Fiji's sister ship, doesn't have the heel, but does have everything else. This one just won't have all that bucket. It'll have crawling smoke instead of regular smoke. So, yeah, it still should be not bad though. What kind of range are we talking about? 15.8, which is somewhat respectable. It's not like super great, but it's not, definitely not the worst, considering a lot of tier 10 cruisers don't have more range than that. 6.5 second reload on 9 guns. That's pretty damned impressive. Still an 8 kilometer airstrike, so I don't know. I'm not worried about AA. She's not particularly fast, 31.5 knots. That's actually pretty darn slow. Nothing to note on consumables. Same stuff we've been having. Damage control, hydro, and defensive AA, and another slot, and crawling smoke. All right, Commonwealth Cruiser Auckland, Tier 8. Like the British Albemarle is based on one of the heavy cruisers developed in Britain in 1940. 9 203mm guns. In a linear elevated configuration, ship was named after the largest city in New Zealand and represents the Royal New Zealand Navy. Let's see what we're looking at here. 17 kilometer range. 18% fire chance. That's not horrible. So, not horrible. So this will be similar to the Albemarle. Some capacity. Anything else that we should know? Our airstrikes are up to 10 kilometers now. Tier 8. That's pretty good. That's pretty darn good. Anything else? Here is where you get the repair party. So what kind of repair party we got? 28 seconds at just under 200 per second. So not a super heal by any means. Not a super heal by any means. You're only talking about being able to heal, what, 5,000 and something health. So not a huge chunk. That's only about 1/8 of your health. So just a pedestrian heal. Okay, that's interesting to see. Commonwealth Cruiser Encounter at Tier 9. That almost looks more Russian. Encounter is a fast ship based on preliminary designs for cruiser with 203mm artillery. Intended for construction at an Australian shipyard in the 20s. In terms of silhouette and layout, the project partly replicates the British Hawkins class cruisers. Okay. What else? Cruiser inherited its name from one of the first ships in the Royal Australian Navy. a protected cruiser launched back in 1902. Let's see what we see here. So again, you got 9203s with an 8.9 second reload. Not the worst. Health just kind of mediocre. Good fire chance. Could be better. I don't know. What else? Are we up? No, we're still at 10 kilometers on the airstrike range. Got those torp tubes. Oh, okay. Let's look at these torps. We haven't been looking at the torps. That's what I've been trying to locate. So you're talking about 13.5 kilometer range torps that have pretty good concealment and speed and solid damage. Interesting. What else do we have? 33 knot maximum speed. Okay, don't see anything else spectacular there. What is our concealment, by the way? Here we go, 12.3. So what does 12.3 bring us down to? Well, when you're at tier 9, well, let's see here. Get you down to like 9.9 or 10, somewhere in that range. So concealment's okay, but it's not that great. There are other ships with better concealment than that, other cruisers, but still not bad. Next up, Commonwealth Cruiser Cerberus, tier 10. It is an enlarged seaworthy version of the British county-class cruisers with more powerful armament. Named after one of the pioneers of the Australian Navy, Her Majesty's Victorian ship, Cerberus. Built in the late 1860s for the naval forces of the colony of Victoria. So, okay, I get where the name came from now. Let's check out the ship parameters. So you're sitting at 47,000 health. Again, that's kind of in that Zao range. So yeah, it's on the lower end for a tier 10 cruiser. But you've got 12 203s with what kind of, with a 10.5 second reload, which, yeah, it's okay. What else? 18%. So you still got 203s and 18% fire chance. What kind of, let's see, airstrike do we have? We're at an 11 kilometer airstrike. Okay. You've got 2x4 on the torps, which are still 13.5 kilometer good speed, good detectability. And what else? I don't see anything else. Maximum speed 34 knots. So these aren't overly fast. Still the 12.3 surface detectability. So you're getting, you know, somewhere in the 9.9 to 10 kilometer range. Pretty good turning radius. So all in all, that's interesting that we're getting a new ship line for Commonwealth cruisers. Okay, check it out when it's ready. What is next up? German cruiser tier 8 Wiesbaden. Wiesbaden. Oh, whoa. What's going on here? This looks like a San Diego, but in a German style hull. What the hell? Wiesbaden is a hypothetical design for a light cruiser whose main armament is composed of dual-purpose 128mm guns developed for the Kriegsmarine in the early 40s. Yeah, there you go. Ship's naming follows German Navy's tradition of naming cruisers in honor of members of the same type sunk in battle. Okay. Wiesbaden is armed with 12 128mm main battery guns, which have high damage per minute but low range. Typical for German ships, AP is high damage, while HE features good pin but low damage and fire chance. Ships also armed with a total of 12 torpedo tubes. These will launch torpedoes with a good range and low visibility. While she has excellent concealment, Wiesbaden's drawbacks include weak armor, low speed, lackluster maneuverability. For consumables, equipped with a smoke generator, similar to the one found on German destroyers. What else? As well as the signature German hydroacoustic. And will share its slot with defensive AA. Captains familiar with the Z-52 destroyer line will feel at home this ship due to her similar armament. This is no. The guns are the same guns, but you've got twice as many guns as the freaking Z-52 has. A combination of the effective main battery and torpedoes will allow for flexible gameplay operations or options. While Wiesbaden's excellent concealment and smoke generator will enable her to take favorable positions for close range combat. However, captains will need to be careful. Once spotted, it will be difficult to disengage or to engage in open waters or escape the enemy due to speed and poor maneuverability. Well, that's interesting. So, let's see what we got. 34,000 health. So you got 12 128s. Yeah, that is really good AP. And yeah, the HE, yeah, like they said, low damage, only a 5% fire chance, but you do have 32, and this is important. You got 32 millimeters of pin, and what that means when you're shooting at battleships with your HE, even if they're tier 10 battleships. You can pin them with HE, which is great. Let's see what else we have here. Torpedo tubes, 9.5 kilometer torps. Interesting. Okay. What else? Typical German torpedoes, that 14,400. I'm not going to dwell on AA any. What else? So we get damage control, smoke generator, hydro, or defensive AA. That's what you get to. Okay. Spanish battleship Victoria at tier 9. I didn't realize this devblog was this extensive. Holy crap. Victoria is a fast battleship, similar in layout and characteristics to Italian ships of the Vittorio Veneto class. Possibility of building in Spain was discussed between the governments of the two countries in 1939-40. The implementation plan was to prevent the growing momentum of the Second World War and the state of the Spanish economy. Battleship, just like two ships of the line and a modern frigate of the Spanish Navy, carries the name Victoria in honor of the Caradoc that made history by being the first ship to circumnavigate the world. So you got 9 381 millimeter guns. Long range, but long reload time. Great. She'll also feature a new unique mechanic, alternative shell types, so you can switch during battle. Oh boy. Standard mode, in which her shells will deal high damage with high fire chance for HE shells. In return, they will have poor ballistics, requiring extensive lead time for fast targets, etc. Okay, thus the standard fire mode is best used in either short-range engagements or against slow-moving targets. Alternative mode, in which her shields will have greatly improved ballistics, allowing for easier leading of fast ships at range. However, the firing mode will have reduced shell damage, reduced live, live fire damage. So, fire chance for HE and the compared to the standard mode. Captains will still want to use this mode primarily for long-range gunnery. So basically, they're just saying, if you're at range, here's shells that are flatter that you can more easily hit people. If you're closer, Here's standard mode that you can people with. It's important to note that despite the radical difference in the velocity of the shells of the different firing modes, AP pin of both the standard and alternate shell is similar. Okay, this is due to the fact that the alternative shell is significantly lighter to achieve higher velocity. She has excellent armor and good concealment for a battleship, but with low HP and weak AA. Great. Consumables are standard repair party. Choice between fighter and spotter in the same slot. So it just says astute captains can switch back and forth between these firing modes as you play. Okay. Yeah, this is a tier 9 boat, and you've only got 64,800 health, which isn't a ton. 20-kilometer range, 30% fire chance, which is okay, but not great. What else? Anything else? 32-second reload, so it's not as bad as I thought maybe. So what's your difference on your regular shells? Okay, so AP shell is 750 meters per second on the regular, but 950 on the higher velocity shells. But look at this. The regular shells do 13.8 on AP, whereas the higher velocity ones do 10.650. That's a big difference. That's over 3,000 damage different. So yeah, learn to shoot with the slower shells. What else do we have? Anything in particular? 30 knots. Not really the best, but still relatively fast. She'll get around fine. Decent turning circle. Okay rudder shift. 16.1 concealment. So what does that? Gets you to about 13 kilometers. So concealment will definitely not be top tier. It will be fine, but not great. I think that's all to talk about those. So wow. Okay, a lot to digest there. You know, with the quick recap, Spain's getting a tier 9 battleship, similar to the Italians, the Victoria. What else? The Germans are getting a tier 8 cruiser that is San Diego, kind of San Diego style in a way. Commonwealth is getting a tier 10. Well, actually, let me go back. Commonwealth is getting a whole line of cruisers, which I won't go over in detail, but this goes over all the tiers from 1 to 10. And, you know, you heard it here. They're going to start out with 152s and then switch over to 203s at tier 8. And you're going to have pretty good firing rates, but floatier shells, squishier ships, those type things. So a little improved ASW. So those are some of the things you can look for on these ships. Now, yeah, that's all we got to do right now. So it's time to go over to World of Warships. Let's go do that and play some. Thank you so much for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to receive notifications of future videos, just ring the bell. Until next time, Tater Dawg says, woof.